Hey guys, I thought it would be a very important conversation to have around getting your mojo back. So, if you're like many of the guys out there, including myself, what ends up happening sometimes over time is our mojo starts to decline, and we get into a place where we don't even realize that we've lost our mojo. So, we're used to have a mojo of 10 out of 10, maybe a 9 out of 10, and now we have a mojo of a 3 out of 10, a 4 out of 10. So, what exactly is mojo? Let's start there. Mojo is this feeling like you are completely enthusiastic, you're passionate, you're alive, you have this energy, you have this drive, you have this motivation, you have this inspiration. Basically, you're feeling like you are at your best. That's what mojo is. And we as men, in particular, it's important to have mojo because our masculine force, our masculine energy, is very much about performance. It's very much about progress. It's very much about achievement, about being driven. And if we don't have that mojo, then we are, in essence, not in our masculine energy. So having that improves our performance. And I'm going to talk about the four things that you need to have to really bring that mojo back. If you're one of those guys, regardless of what stage you are in life, whether you're single, married, later in life, whatever it might be, it's very, very important to have your mojo because this is what creates not only performance and achievement, but also fulfillment in life as well. Because you know when you have that mojo, you feel alive, you feel better. People can actually sense it around you as well. They can feel that energy within you. So it's not only important for you, but it's important for the people around you, whether it's your wife, your kids, whoever it may be, because they feed off that energy as well. So, what are these four particular things or ways for you to increase your mojo? And this is from our experience, this is through our research, this is through our private studies that we've done, and also my background and experience in this realm of performance and fulfillment for the last, you can say, 30 years, and having a background in neuroscience and performance psychology. One of the first things to do, if you're a man, is to have that passion, and particularly passion in that relationship with a feminine energy, because that is extremely powerful when the feminine energy meets the masculine energy, or vice versa. It creates this completion, and that completion creates passion, it creates energy. So, you as a man should have a passionate relationship with a feminine force or feminine energy. If that is your wife, great, right? That is probably the strongest passionate relationship that you can have with anybody. That is a true soul connection. And if you have that, that is a one big up for increasing your mojo, getting your mojo back. Now, you may not be in a relationship or you may be in a struggling relationship. So let's just say you're in a struggling relationship. It's important to have that passion or bring that back because it's a core element. When we work with guys, that's one of the challenges that we see. If their mojo isn't there, many times it's because they don't have that passion in that relationship. They've lost that inspiration, that drive, that hope. And for them, it doesn't matter what they do now in the rest of their life if they come home to a passionless relationship. So bringing that back, and yes, that requires you to do some of the work. It requires you to step up and say, okay, what do I need to do to bring this passion back into this relationship? And sometimes we, just like anything else in life, relationships require work. They require intentional effort. They require progress. They require learning a skill or advancing. So this is something I always encourage every man to do is read up and learn about how to increase passion in your relationship. One of the key things is to ask your spouse, ask your wife what she is looking for from the relationship, what she needs to bring more passion to the relationship. So when you ask each other these questions, now you actually have the ability to bring that passion because passion isn't a one-way street. Passion is a two-way street. It requires both parties to be at their best. It requires both parties to bring energy into that system of a relationship. And so I'm just going to recap this part because it's important. And I wouldn't underestimate this because I see many men, excuse me, and these are raw and these are uncut, you can say, videos here. So we will have bloopers, and I'm hoping you enjoy them as well. And you will see that men that don't have that passionate relationship, they don't have that drive. and they don't have that mojo. And it also leads to the second element. So the second way to bring your mojo back, and that is to have good health. And there's nothing that compares to having good health. There's an old saying, and my grandfather used to tell me this. He said, he repeated the saying, and I'm just paraphrasing. A healthy man has 1,000 dreams, but an unhealthy man has one. And that one dream is to be healthy again. Because when you are not healthy, what ends up happening is you don't have the attention, the focus, the energy to do the things that you want to do in life, all those other things that you want to tackle. And as men, to live to our full potential, we want to have that. We want to be able to conquer everything that we have in our life. And if we don't have good health, it poses a physical, biological, and even a cognitive challenge because if we're not feeling good, let's just say you've eaten something unhealthy, your body will tell you immediately. It's uncanny what actually happens. And for me, anytime I eat junk food, particularly fried food that has canola oil or any other type of vegetable oil in it, processed vegetable oil, I can feel it. Like my body doesn't feel the same anymore. And I can see my energy come down. I can see my cognitive performance come down. So it has a dramatic impact on my performance. It has a dramatic impact on my mojo. And so I take very good care of my health, not only from a longevity perspective, but more for a performance perspective. So I eat healthy, exercise. These are the types of things to do: meditation, mindfulness practices, spending time in nature, because good health increases your mojo. And there's another reason for it. Because we are biological beings, primarily as men, our masculine energy is driven off of the hormones that we have in our body. For example, vasopressin or testosterone, and testosterone, as many people know, is linked to muscle growth and sexual health. And there's also growth hormone that we naturally have as well, GH, in our body. And these are very primary hormones that we require as men to live functionally as men. That's why we have more muscle mass than women. So having good health, excuse me again, I apologize. Having good health and having I'm going to say a proper level of hormones according to your age is very, very important. So if your health isn't good, that is the first thing to pay attention to, because that's also going to help you have more energy to bring to a relationship as well. And I encourage every man, regardless of the age, more over the age of 40, to go get tests done, to get blood tests done, to ensure that your health is at the optimum level, because that's going to impact everything else in your life. And then the third thing is a challenge. So that is the third element that you need to increase your mojo, is this challenge. And I make fun of this because it came from my dad used to have this old saying, when he saw guys that just didn't have that spark in them, he would call them neutral. And neutral in a number of ways. Neutral meaning that, kind of if you're driving a standard vehicle, you're in neutral, you're not going anywhere, but also neutral from the perspective of not having the gonads. And so being able to have a challenge creates a spark in us, because when we are just cruising along, we don't have a challenge, then we are not forced to grow. We are not forced to be in an uncomfortable spot. And just like how you grow your muscles, it comes from overload. It comes from progressive overload, which is another fancy word for your challenging your body more than what it's used to, and therefore it adapts to it. And that's what challenge does. It forces us to get out of our comfort zone and forces us to change, adapt, grow, and create progress primarily around who we are as men, not necessarily our skills or all those other things externally, but who we are internally, how we feel about ourselves, the clarity that we have in our life, the confidence, the inner control, the certainty. Those are the elements that come from dealing with a challenge. And so if we don't have something challenging in our life, something that is, maybe it's a challenge that we are taking on, maybe it's a challenge that has been posed on us that we have no control over. Whatever it might be, it could be a difficult relationship, it could be a challenge in business. But we have to take that challenge on, because that's what creates the mojo. That's what fires up the engines, right? Because there's no point in firing up the engines if there's no challenge. If you're how fun is it to go against another team if you're playing a sport that just isn't that great and there's no challenge, right? There's no need for you to step up your game. There's no need for you to get better. you don't really have that drive and energy. But when you are properly balanced against a challenge, and that's the key there, a proper balance, not necessarily a challenge that is completely overwhelming and that you don't have the skills for and that you don't have the drive and motivation for because every time you think about it, it freaks you out. That's kind of overload or overwhelm. That's not where you want to go. And you don't want a challenge where it's just so easy, where you're just like, yeah, I can do this. I don't need to do anything different. That's too easy. You're going to get bored there. The challenge has to be at that right level where it's tough enough that it forces you to grow, but not too tough that it freaks you out. That's the challenge that you're looking for. And it could be, here's the thing, it doesn't have to be a work challenge or a financial challenge because that's where we tend to go as men is we tend to look for challenges in our career, in our business, but it could be a challenge in some other aspect of our life. It could be a health challenge. And I mean a positive challenge. Perhaps it's increasing your strength or your muscle mass or whatever it is, running a marathon. It could be a relationship challenge. Maybe you want to challenge yourself to bring a different level of progress to your relationship. It could be a parenting challenge. Maybe as a father, you're having a challenge parenting your children or your children are acting out or maybe that relationship isn't as tight and not at the level you want it to be. And personally, that's one of my challenges right now as a father. I have a soon to be 11-year-old and I have a 9-year-old, and they are posing some challenges for me where every day I have to learn how to be a better dad. Every day I have to learn how to communicate more effectively, be more influential, also be more firm, but also at the same time be a loving dad. So that is my challenge at this stage in my life is being a better dad. And I can tell you it's enabling me to grow and be better as a person, which then I'm able to transfer those skills into other areas of my life. And that's extremely powerful for me. And then the fourth element, which is very, very, I'm going to say important as well, is purpose. Having a strong purpose in your life. And it's something that we all think about as men. We always ask this question, what is the purpose of that? Or what is the purpose of life? What is the meaning of life? Why are we even here? Why do I exist? And so having a strong purpose, not only from a life perspective, but also from the perspective of every task that we take on, every relationship that we have, every objective that we have. What is the purpose behind that? What is the objective behind that? What is that going to do? How is that going to help other people? How is that going to help us? How is this going to make this world a better place? And having a strong purpose and identifying that purpose then enables us to see the value that we bring to this world. Because when you have that purpose, it enables us to be able to see ourselves in a different light. Because as human beings, we are social beings. Part of being in a social structure is that we bring value to others in our life and we bring value to ourselves. And if we don't see that we're bringing value to other people, then we feel less of ourselves. That's just an innate thing within us as human beings. So the more value that we bring to others, the more value that we see within ourselves, and the more mojo we have as a result of that. So I'm in my particular life, and I always share personal examples because I believe that's the best way. And I put myself out there and be vulnerable because I'm a man just like everybody else, and I have my own personal challenges. One of the things that has increased my mojo is the challenge that I talked about as being a dad, but also the purpose I have. And the purpose I have is to be the best dad I can because I want to raise two healthy people, two healthy individuals that can contribute to society. So not only are they happy and successful themselves, because I want my children to be so fulfilled with life and so happy with life and so joyful. And part of that is going to come from me in terms of what I teach them as a father, the values that they are able to take forward, the mental strength and resilience, and to be able to focus on the things that are important and block out all that noise and the junk that a lot of kids are exposed to these days. So that is my purpose. And I can tell you that drives me every single day. That increases my mojo significantly every single day. So let's sum this up here because if you're one of those guys that are struggling with your mojo or you just like to boost your mojo, there's four elements and you can break them down. And guys, we're mathematical beings as well. We like to break things down. And If you take a look at these four elements, you can give each of these elements 25 points. So if you add all of them up, they equal 100. And each of these elements, the more you have, the closer you get to 100, the more mojo you're going to have. And these four elements, again, are passion and primarily in a relationship with the feminine energy. The second one that I talked about, which is just overlooked, is good health. And then the third is a challenge. And the fourth is purpose. And you add these four elements up and you bring these to your life. And I guarantee you that your mojo is going to skyrocket and be boosted to a completely new level. And you're going to look back and you're going to see things completely differently.